All right, let's try and get the latest now. And Ziyanda Ngcobo is in Pietermaritzburg this hour to give us an update. Ziyanda, good morning to you once again. So 3 applications before court this morning. Tell us which applications have been heard thus far.
All right, Xoli, so at 9:30 then you would have seen, and we took those visuals live, of the urgent court application brought by journalist Karyn Maughan, where she was seeking to have the summons against her dismissed. Now, it was now clarified in this other court as well that Judge Ngcobo actually had to stand the matter down as a result of a possible conflict of interest. Now there's a suggestion that the 8th and the 9th of December then be used to allow for that argument to be heard within this particular court in Pietermaritzburg. You would have heard as well Advocate Stephen Butlander actually clarifying that it doesn't mean that the issue of urgency has subsided because it will be heard at a later stage. So that's where it stands insofar as that civil matter is concerned. Now, when it comes to the application brought by Advocate Billy Downer requesting 1 million rand, the former president has said he'll put up 500,000 rand, and that has also now been settled. And so as it stands, the matter has been stood down for a few moments to check whether or not then Judge Nkosinathi will be the same presiding officer over the 8th and 9th of December for the civil matter, as well as the 2nd of February, which has been set aside for the picking up then of what was supposed to have taken place today insofar as the private prosecution is concerned. So clearly is currently consulting with the acting judge president in this regard, and they've made this request for consistency's sake.
Well, Ziyanda, also there are ANC leaders that are present at court, in particular the new leadership of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. They have made commitments previously before members of the media to not only be present at court whenever the former president appears, but also that they would mobilize. Has there been any conversation between yourselves, members of the media, with them about what about press freedom that the ANC always advocates for?
So you would have seen me looking around because I was trying to see if I can't spot then the chairpersons, Muniso Duma, as well as Deputy Chair Nomakuku Smelane, who are in court here today. In fact, I've also spotted Treasurer and Ntutugo Mahlaba as well, which are the top 5 officials who form part of the top 5 officials here in the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. I tried to speak to the chairperson. He says he'll only speak after court proceedings, which we know it seems like they won't be dragging on the entire day, given now the developments and the dates that have been agreed to. So certainly we're expecting the former president to address those who are here today, and of course he's likely to be flanked by the leadership of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. And it's very critical, because you'll remember that the NEC of the ANC, when the former president, was appearing in court, they're taking a decision that people should not wear ANC branding, and that if people go, they go in their individual capacity. Then under the leadership of Sihle Zikalala, with his secretary Dumiseni Ntuli at the time, had really pleaded with the NEC to allow then members of the ANC to go and support the former president, so as to not allow then other political parties, for instance, at the time it was BLF led by Andile Mqedama, to hijack what they believe is an ANC person, that being former President Jacob Zuma. So it's also going to be critical to get an understanding of the position of this current PEC insofar as the support of former President Jacob Zuma is concerned, vis-a-vis what the NEC had advised, but also, as you've also pointed out, mobilizing against a journalist who has been reporting on the arms deal trial for some time now, and whether or not this doesn't fly against what the ANC has consistently been speaking about, that being media freedom as outlined in Section 16 of our Constitution.
Ziyanda, let's then talk about Karyn Maughan. I mean, it's well and good for lawyers to be in court and perhaps be seen as now part of the court case. That's something that they deal with on a daily basis. But for a journalist to be defending themselves in a court of law in relation to their work, I caught glimpses of Karyn Maughan sitting alongside Adrian Basson. How is this affecting her? Have you been able to have a word with her, or perhaps just observe her demeanor? Is this in a way intimidating for her, as some people have suggested?
I did speak to Karyn, and of course at this stage she can't speak to us on camera. She seems to still be holding strong. She's being supported by her editor-in-chief at News24, Adrian Basson, alongside as well, other journalists who are here, who have also shown solidarity with her on social media. And I think for them, they've maintained that this is nothing but a tactic on the part of former President Jacob Zuma, but also that this matter is moving into uncharted and even dangerous waters, where now journalists are going to have to be sitting in the dock for doing their work. And, you would have heard Adrian Basson earlier on speaking about the facts of the case as they know it, insofar as when, Karyn Maughan received those papers, how journalists go about their court reporting, and that, Karyn has been covering the arms deal trial for nearly 20 years now. So there's also another lawyer representing SANEF and the Forum for the Protection of Journalists. They were also a part as a friend of the court for that urgent matter. And so she seems to be okay, listening intently, sitting next to Billy Downer in the dock this morning, and telling me earlier on that, this is something that we should all be concerned about as journalists. And so it's not just a fight for her, but for media freedom in general.
Let's conclude the conversation with the former president. We haven't seen him in a while, except on social media. How's he looking as someone who has just been cleared, or should we say released, by correctional services from medical parole? We know that there have been stringent measures for him to not be up and about, confined in his home. How's he looking?
He's looking okay. I'm not sure if he's terminally ill or physically incapacitated, as was the reason for him actually being released from prison, Koli. But that's neither here nor there for what we're here to hear in court today. Certainly sitting there with his legal team led by Advocate Ngcobo, also listening in. Of course, he's the one who brought this application. Ngcobo now on the other side. He's now the prosecutor, one of the few instances that he is the prosecutor. He's always on the defense. And, the former president looking quite healthy. It'll be interesting to hear what he has to say if he does address those supporters outside court, especially since, it's the first time we see him since he was released from the correctional services system on Friday. Someone who's also said that he wouldn't decline nomination if he were to be selected by the branches or nominated by the branches to become national chair. But we know that there's still that Supreme Court of Appeal judgment that's yet to be handed down on whether or not him being granted medical parole was actually lawful and rational. But insofar as what's happening here, I must just say the body language between, the former presidents and Maughan and Downer, quite tense in that courtroom. In fact, even in the gallery, you can sort of see who's sitting where. And I must add that the NPA has also sent, the deputy of Shamila Batoi's deputy, Mr. Rodney de Kock, as well as Mthunzi Maga, the NPA spokesperson. And whilst they were not willing to speak right now regarding what's happening here, they've told me they're here to show solidarity with Downer, that they won't allow their prosecutors also to be intimidated, and that Downer will see that arms deal trial through to the end.
Senior politics reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo, live for us at the Pietermaritzburg High Court.